looking around. I've had it doesn't really matter what I've had. I have just a few minutes now. It's been rough today. So the latest news about what's happening in Israel is that the northern front of Israel, where the Israeli forces are facing off against the Iranian-backed Hizbullah, are now facing not just the Iranian-backed Hizbullah, but the Iranian-backed Hizbullah plus the Russian-founded Wagner Group. For those of you who don't know, the Wagner Group is the mercenary group based out of Russia that has done some of the most horrific, barbaric acts of war in the last couple of decades around many parts of the world, notably the third world, in places like Africa and other places where they have half a chance at fighting and winning against the forces that they're fighting against. And they're usually paid for by very wealthy customers, in this case the state of Iran, which despite economic sanctions still has a huge amount of financial assets for which to fund terror activities, etc. And the Wagner Group has now announced, along with the Hizbullah, that they have teamed up, and the Wagner Group has provided them with anti-aircraft systems to try to fight against Israel's Air Force. And certainly they will have also deployed, or will be deploying, ground forces, infantry mercenaries, and whatever else they have at their disposal for sale to Hizbullah. And for anybody who's been wondering about why it is disgusting and gross to compare Russia to Israel, well, there's your answer right there. Russia obviously endorses this move, or it would not happen. And you might say, what are you talking about? Wagner Group acts independently of Russia. No, it doesn't. In fact, when they tried to act independently of Russia, and they attempted and failed to do a coup some months ago, you might remember that about a month after that, the head of the Wagner Group, its founder, known as formerly as Putin's chef, was unalived by Putin when his helicopter or airplane or whatever was suddenly shot down over Russia. Gee, I wonder how that happened, right? He was taken out because Putin did not like the fact that that guy tried to run a coup against Putin for Putin's failure to, make decisive actions to win the war in Ukraine, etc. A barbaric invasion, by the way, which is ethically wrong, in my opinion, morally wrong, in my opinion, an unjust war, in my opinion, because Russia has invaded Ukraine for literally no reason whatsoever. And the excuses that they used, that there are quote-unquote Nazis in Ukraine or whatever, well, there are far more quote-unquote Nazis in Russia than there are in Ukraine, statistically, and per capita. And it is disgusting that there are any of them in either place, but they are. But that was an obvious, ridiculous excuse to justify invading Ukraine. And we all know the real reason that he did it is because he just wants to expand the size of Russia before he dies. And he wants to leave a legacy of being some kind of empire builder, bringing back, some kind of corrupt glory to the Russian empire that he dreams existed and wants to see exist again. And so he uses forces like the Russian mercenary Wagner group, which again conducts massively horrible, barbaric attacks, pure terrorism on the people that they're attacking. They're often found in, countries where the forces that they're fighting are, whatever. They're going in between different sides in different places and fighting, whether it's in Mali or wherever they are, around many places on Earth. They're in a lot of conflicts, and they sell their services because that's what mercenaries do. So they don't care. They go to any conflict that pays them. And so currently the Hizbullah has been, propped up by these guys by way of money coming from Iran. Whether the Iranians are giving it to them or the Hizbullah, it doesn't matter. That money comes ultimately from Iran. So when people tell me that Russia and Israel are alike in that they invaded, well, that's complete nonsense. First of all, this particular war started on October 7th, was triggered literally by an invasion of Palestinians into Israeli territory. And the response to it is that the Israelis fought back, and the fact that the Israelis have driven out the terrorists who were in Israel and have now begun to, go into Gaza in order to root out Hamas is a response to an invasion. It's not an invasion itself. Right? It's a response to one. And if you tell me, oh, they're invading, no, they're not. They are reacting to a war of an invasion that was started against them. It's not the same thing. If you can't tell the difference, check your brain and check your heart. Anyway, that's about all I'm going to talk about that for now. What I will say is that Hamas and Wagner Group teaming up is very telling about the kind of forces that the Israelis are facing in this sick war. And may it end soon. Peace.